in between. So now, coming on to the next, we are now talking about wellness. So wellness, I feel that is no longer about living longer or being financially secure. It is more about continuing to evolve, staying connected, and finding our own purpose and designing a life for yourself that actually truly means meaningful. So among us, we have Astha Jain Agarwal from Pink City Moms. She's developed a community for 13 years now, which has around 6,500 members in it. We have Vrinda ma'am, who's the chairperson at Ficci. We have Archana Surana ma'am, who's running a design institute in the city of Jaipur for 25 years and built her own legacy from 2 rooms to the now, which is pretty well known in the city. So, starting with the panel, I would like to have the round of applause for all three incredible women that we have with us today. Welcome you all. So, starting with uh, Brita ma'am, I would like to put across a question where you have there's so much on your plate already, and which I think everybody in Jaipur knows you. And being from like just last evening when I was having a conversation with you, how you mentioned that you've been around working, you've learned jewelry design, you've learned interior design. Just recently, when you were getting into the education sector, you actually went to IIM Lucknow to take up a course in education leadership. So I want to actually know that what exactly is reinventing yourself. Where usually reinventing comes with a force, where we have to force it in our lives when we want to reinvent ourselves. But it has come very naturally with you, and it was very intentional. So I want to know from you that what reinventing actually means for you.
Thank you. Thank you for that question, Charu. So, honestly, reinventing for me means actually learning, unlearning, and relearning. I think that is what it really means for me. I think at every stage of life, like what Sandhya was talking about right now, it's not planned. It's just very organic, it just happens. And for me, life has been very organic. And the honest answer is whatever opportunities came my way, I think I just made choices. And I really believe that, we make choices and the choices make us. So every time there was something that was given to me, I said, okay, let's try it. So I never like shut my doors. I was always very open to the ideas and the new. So from interiors to jewelry, as you were mentioning, and we started that, let's. So everything boils down to actually just being very open-minded and being ready to learn new things. We as women should not say मैं बहुत बार सुनते से बोलते हैं अरे नहीं मुझसे नहीं होगा अब क्या करेंगे but really कोई एज नहीं होती सीखने की अगर हम open minded है हमें लगता है कि नहीं मुझे सीखना है तो हम वो कर सकते हैं तो मैंने फिर education is something that now I've found my passion there and I feel this is the space I want to be in. And before entering the field, yes, I did do, like I went to IIM Calcutta first, then I went to IIM Lucknow, and I did this entire thing on education leadership. And here I am, and I'm very happy to be learning new things. So I think it's a journey, and the journey is a destination. So for me, I think it is that.
Thank you so much. Moving on to the next, Archana ma'am. Since education has been part and parcel of your life since many years, and being not from the city of Jaipur, starting something where it was very difficult for women to step out of the house also and take up a lead and build something that you have built and given to the city of Jaipur. I want to know that you work a lot around the intersection of creativity, design, and entrepreneurship. And I work closely with you, seen you, travel abroad and work around. Still, the learning is still there. You keep on, move to cities and keep on focusing and stressing more upon learning. So, how do you think that creativity has been a tool for wellness for women, for design educators also, and for students also?
Thank you, Charu. I'm glad that we've had an association of working together as well. And thank you, Shelley, for bringing this amazing event to Jaipur while I was in Gurgaon with you, and I saw the kind of attraction people had for your event, where it was a paid event, and there was a whole, I mean, people were really excited because I was sitting with them through the lunch time as well. And I'm really happy that this is now you've got it here to Jaipur and it's going to move further up. Yeah. So it's probably the beginning, and once people get the taste of things, I think year after year you can keep building on it. Now, here is where creativity starts, right? So she is a journalist, right? She's gotten into, curating these programs for women. And then she's also created a product for women, right? Which is Gayatri. Now, what does it all mean? Creativity is not about having a pen or a pencil. Creativity is about your self expression, who you are, where do you belong, what really inspires you, what touches you, what really moves you to do certain things and really makes you passionate about things. And that's where I feel that your creative self gets its expression. And that's what I understand creativity as. For me, as a young girl, going to melas and fairs and seeing textiles, opening my mother's trunk and seeing the old beautiful textiles of a dadi and nani, and that was creativity for me. And that's how I moved into this creative profession. I thought of becoming a pilot. I think like every girl child would think of, right? And then were these trucks, right? So that touch, the feel, that is what connected me with the handlooms of India. And because I was sitting at a session in Nabard right now, and I was there as a speaker on technology and design innovation and everything. And I said कि भाई आप जो ये टेक्नोलॉजी की बात करने लग रहे हैं, ये जो बात हम हो रही है, हमारे फेस्टिवल्स ऑफ इंडिया होते हैं, तो मन का होली दिवाली होती है, मुझे इतना उत्साह नहीं होता जितना मुझे हैंडलूम डे पे होता है. Because my wardrobe has 80% handlooms. The feel of the people, the connection, the beauty, that creativity that people have created in our nation, that's what I have in my wardrobe. And that's where I see creativity. So when we talk about wellness, if you look at all the rural communities, when we look at livelihoods, people in the family sat together to weave a fabric, right? किसी ने धागा बुना तो किसी ने रंग किया तो किसी ने साथ. तो अगर आप देखेंगे ना, कुछ गुजरात की कम्युनिटीज है, वो दिखाएंगी कि आपको कैसे फैमिली साथ बैठ करके काम करती है. तो आप देखिए वेलबींग वहां से शुरू होती है, right? And today in our world, when we are not connected, we talk about creativity as something that's very different than, or maybe sitting and drawing and doodling, or maybe finding your expression and, doing some business, right? So for me, what creativity has been is like, getting in touch with people, seeing things, finding my reasons for doing certain things, and finding my self expression. So that's what I call creativity. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Moving on to Asta. So I've known that you started your career really early, and at the age of 17 and 19, probably you started earning, and you also started an e-commerce brand, and there were a lot of things that you were trying your hands on, and building a community like Pink City Moms in Jaipur, where 6,500 women are part of it. So I want to know that, was it a lot of trial and errors, or you were very clear since beginning? But how is that also possible? Because that was really a young age.
Well, I agree, Charu, and thank you for the question. Thank you, Shelley, for having me over, representing In City Moms. Well, I think in my case, yes, I was pretty clear. I was like in grade 10 or 11 when I used to see my parents, my uncles, my extended family in the similar kind of business. I always used to get fascinated with fabrics, with raw materials. It was something that I realized very early on that this is my calling and this is what I want to study and what I want to pursue. And thankfully, by the blessings of parents and God, that it came across to me very, very naturally. And I started my R&D. People in my family explained that it's very important for you to study, finish your basic education, and then get into the business. But then it कीड़ा था एक, कि कुछ तो करके दिखाना है. I had this thing in me. And on the day of my last board exams, on the 28th of March, I established my firm as well. Though I was a minor, I was not even eligible to become a proprietor of my own firm. So I nominated my mother to become a proprietor. But then yes, that R&D phase of my grade 11 and 12 really helped me. Obviously, I was very naive, and e-commerce around that time had just entered into our country. People didn't know what is e-commerce. People didn't know what is selling and buying on internet feels like, and is it safe, and so many other things happened. But then my now husband used to guide me a lot around that time. He's an IT expert, so he was the driving force. He was the one always motivating me that this is the right thing for you to do. And I think, yeah, that was the motivating factor, that how to really stand out was the kira in my mind. Ki, I have to do something really out of the box, and which led me to get into this business very, very early on.
That's great. Good to hear that.
Thank you so much.
Now, I think talking on wellness, we connect wellness a lot with fitness, nutrition, mental well-being, or maybe sometimes financial security also. So it's a common question for all three of you. What do you relate wellness with personally?
See, being self-reliant and independent is very important for a woman, and that is something that's non-negotiable. Be it whatever. And, you know, I see women, even while they're working, they're still dependent on their husbands or their fathers to take decisions for them. It's good to take their advice, but when I see women talking about it upfront, मैं अपने हस्बैंड से पूछ के बताऊंगी, मैं अपने घर में पता करूंगी, उसके बाद बताऊंगी. I somewhere feel that the mindset is still that of being a dependent. I think we need a mindset of being independent. That's the first and foremost thing of any kind of, even if we talk about financial independence. We are all from affluent family. Money is not the issue all the time, but probably the whole mindset is an issue. And today, it's not about disregarding that when you're not probably taking the name, but in the forefront, I think somewhere the mindset is that of dependency. I think that's where one needs to really address it. And I think all girls need to address that they need to take ownership of their decisions. They need to stand up for themselves. They need to stand for their safety, security, their independence, and their thoughts as well. Life will have different challenges for them all the time, and more challenges as they step up. So it's important that this independence is first there in them, and that's what is key for me. So while I travel globally, I've visited more than 35 countries. Because of my work, I sit on world's largest forum for art media design from 70 countries with 400 universities represented there, and representing India and the global south. And I feel, God has given this opportunity to me, because most of the time I've seen women, they would hang around with other women, right? They would see, अच्छा तो जने साथ चलेंगे तो हम वहां जाएंगे. Why? You need to step up. तुम्हें जहां जाना है तुम अकेले जाओ ना. क्यों तुम्हें साथ है? तुमने देखा कभी शेर जो होता है अकेला चलता है, उसके साथ नहीं झुंड चलता कभी भी. ठीक है, आपको झुंड में क्यों जाना है? You are your voice and you need to move. नहीं तो आप क्या होता है, most of the time you get stopped by when you want to seek for people and people around you. So that's where I felt that I was lucky that I could think like this, and that what made me move countries and be represented on boards, travel alone, be whatever I had to do, and make it possible for myself and for others
I
around.
can't agree with Archana ma'am more, because I totally resonate with what she's saying, that when you think that I am enough, I am more than enough for myself, and I don't need somebody else's validation, but yet have to be grounded. I think it's just enough for you when you feel that I can do by myself and I am there for myself. I think you can move mountains. It's up to you. It's up to your own belief, your own ecosystem, how mentally, physically fit you are there, and how confident you are in yourself. I think you can achieve and do whatever you want to.
So I agree with both of them. I think wellness is also something which is also dependent on what stage of life you're in. while at some stage you might feel that I am enough for myself is what wellness means to me. I think I'm at a stage where I feel, how do I expand myself? So, how do I move from being just me and reach out and try to make some kind of impact? Because, we all are at a position where we are blessed. We don't really have to worry about our everyday needs. So for me, at this stage of life, wellness really means to go back to bed peacefully, शांति से रात को सोएं और लगे कि आज हमने कुछ करा, क्या हमने समाज के लिए आज कुछ अच्छा करा, अगर करा तो वो for me at this stage is what I'm saying is wellness for me.
So here I'd like to just add, for me, wellness would be learning every day, contributing to my inner growth and making a difference to the people around me. And that is how I see wellness as. So, I starting a Women Mentors Forum, came back from the US, me and Shelly are a part of the same program, which is the Vital Voices Global Partnerships. And that's how we know each other, because of the community that we have nationally. Yeah. So I also probably got to see so many accomplished women there, and it's not about feeling enough. We are all social beings. We are always wanting to be taking the support of others, because we are never complete in ourselves. But to be able to feeling confident that, you can step up, to ask for help, be there, make a contribution, get people involved. And that's what probably is very, very important and key for anybody's growth and wellness. And that's probably can make a difference also around to one's own self and others around us. Yeah.
So I'll take up building connections as one of the key from what you just mentioned.
Yeah.
That being among the room full of people who are strong and who are already have made a mark in the society and made a difference. So
I'd like to just add here. So, you just wanting to be with people who made a difference. Yes, maybe that's one learning space, because you want to have people who know more than you, that you want to be with them. But, it's also to be with people who need you, right? Who need you because they need guidance. So when I started the Women Mentors Forum, I was mentored, right, by a Fortune CEO. I felt mentoring was a very strong tool. And for 10 years, the city experienced mentoring in a very big way, where a lot of women were empowered, because you can see a couple of women there, and women who were in the household, who are already, they had a good education, they were looking for something, as it's like a second innings in their life, and they weren't finding anything. So I think the Women Mentors Forum gave that space. There were younger women who were looking at more experienced women who could contribute to their lives, right, in terms of sharing of experiences. So we had a peer mentoring, we had a mentor-mentee relationship, we had help people set their goals, right? And I was just I just had a small media team with me who went with me to NABARD also. So उन्होंने बोला, मैम, it was quite extemporary. I said, मैम आप ड्राइव कर रहे हो, हम आपका वीडियो ले लें क्या? तो मैंने बोला हाँ ले लो. तो क्या क्वेश्चन उन्होंने मुझे पूछा, just skipped my mind. This is what happens 40 over 40. हाँ? क्या बोलते ब्रेन फॉग. अच्छा भी है थोड़ा भूलना, कई बार, it's good. When I meet people, I probably forget their names, but I don't forget instances. I don't forget their beautiful smiles. I don't forget the fights. I don't forget anything, but I would forget the person's name, And I said, can our Gayatri help there? Yeah, which one? तो menopause हो गया बुरा, पर वो चलता जा रहा है. It doesn't get over. Okay, interesting. So first you have to go through the menstrual problem, and then you have to go through the menopausal problem. Fantastic women leaders.
So building connections and also contributing at the same time. So I think, how has this helped you, Vrindavan and Asta, that you've been building the community also? So personally, I'm talking on personal level, that how has it impacted you mentally, emotionally, and for your personal growth?
In a lot of many ways. I think we are what we are of all the connections that we've made through several years, right? Like, you're a sum total of all the interactions you've had in your life. So I would say, कभी किसी ने, whether it's my दादी, उनसे मैंने कुछ अलग सीखा, मेरी मम्मी से अलग सीखा, कई लोगों से नहीं भी सीखा. तो मैं अपने बच्चों को हमेशा बोलती हूँ, there are people who will teach you what to do, but there are also a lot of people from whom you will learn what not to do. That's equally important. तो आप कैसे वो distinguish करना सीखो. So हम अगर देखें तो मैं कौन हूँ, that's a question which I sometimes it comes to me when I go into that my spiritual zone, which I enter more often. And then I think, मैं कौन हूँ? बहुत बड़ा question है. You know, when you try to define yourself, and then you think that मैं तो sum total हूँ of so many things and so many people who actually worked on me. It's not like I've become myself just because of I feel okay I can do it. It's not that. There's so many people who worked on me. Whether it was my parents, whether it was my peers, my husband, my children, it's every day you are evolving. You know, when we talk about reinventing ourselves, I think हम रोज ही हो रहे होते हैं. Because रोज हम इतने लोगों से मिलते हैं, रोज हम अलग अलग बातें करते हैं, तो वो सब चीजें ऐड होती जाती हैं हमें. So I think anything and everything that I'm able to do today is because of so many people who have contributed in making me who I am today. So that is the power of connections. And आप अकेले जिंदगी में कुछ नहीं कर सकते. I'm a big believer of collaboration. जैसे आज हमने भी collaborate किया शेरी के साथ. So मुझे लगता है लाइफ में अगर हम मिल के काम नहीं करें ना तो हम कुछ भी बड़ा काम नहीं कर सकते. हमको सबको साथ रह के मिल के ही हम कोई एक अच्छा और बड़ा we can achieve. So I think that is what I feel.
Walk alone, you are
Absolutely, exactly. Exactly. So walk together. I think that's always been my philosophy. Yeah, thank you.
Can't agree more, Vrindaji. I believe that a power of community is something that I learned when I built, when I the whole idea of forming Pink City Moms came into my mind when I became a mother of twins, and I was seeking support. Obviously there was friends and family, but then sometimes when you are overwhelmed, like a new mom, you want to keep aside everything and you really seek advices and just fixing each other's crowns. Okay, sailing in the same boat. You are sailing too. Okay, this is what I'm doing. And this is how with just a handful of like 10, 12 members, 10, 12 of my friends, I formed this group. And little did I know back in 2013 that this community will grow this large. Because when I saw beautiful things happening within the community, I just like to give one small, I'd like to share an incident that happened. It was during COVID. It was 2020 and middle of COVID, there was this woman. She messaged in one of our groups at around 2 o'clock in the night. She was in the hospital. She had just delivered a baby. So in fact, not her husband had messaged with her phone that my wife is not well and is there somebody in the group who can breastfeed my child?
Oh,
It still gives me goosebumps when I share this story. It was 2 in the night, I was sleeping, but a lot many other women were awake. Some of them read but couldn't do anything because it was COVID, we were all locked down. There was this one brave lady who was informed by one of her friends. She had delivered a baby about 2.5 months ago. That this is the situation. Can you help? And this woman was admitted in the Surya hospital. This lady woke her up, the other lady woke her husband up that I have to feed another child. Take me to Surya hospital. सुबह के 4 बजे, it still is giving me goosebumps.
Me
सुबह के
too.
4 बजे, she went
me too.
to Surya Hospital, fed that child, gave that extra amount of breast milk, stored in the refrigerator, and came back home. And when I read the messages in the morning, like around 8:39 in the morning, I couldn't believe what I have created. I felt, wow, this is my achievement. This is the power of community. It felt totally overwhelming. So together, we can achieve a lot of things together. We all can bring about a lot of changes in society, in ourselves, and people we are around.
Nice.
It's feeling it.
Just to add to what Asa was saying, just a quick thing. कई बार हमें लगता है कि हम help कैसे मांगे, हम कैसे बोलें. But I feel help मांगने में शर्म नहीं आनी चाहिए. Why do we sometimes get our egos in between? I can remember one huge conference I had. One child was with my mother-in-law, one child was with my mother because I had to be at the conference and I had to work for the conference. So I'm just saying, please, as women, और क्या होता है हमारी सबसे बड़ा cheerleaders भी हमारी mother, हमारी they're all our friends. So what when you talk about sisterhood I think this is what it means, and please, stretch yourselves, go to them, and everybody is ready to be there for you. But हमें कोई शर्म आती है कि नहीं यार हम कैसे बोल सकते हैं ये. So I think we should kind of drop that inhibition.
I'm still thrilled to hear your story. So as an interior designer, I keep thinking about designing spaces. So I would want to ask from you all, and I think audience will also want to know that what is a well-designed day looks like for you, or what is a well-designed life on a larger vision looks for you.
Well, I take it how it comes. Of course, there are a couple of things that are non-negotiable in my daily routine. There has to be about 45 to 50 minutes of any form of exercise. Very, very important. Writing journal, writing my blessings. I've taught my kids to write their blessings before they leave for school. They have this beautiful jars that they write their blessings in. And then of course, very important is communication. I've always felt that in any relationship, communication is the key. Any relationship, be it your subordinates, your peer, your friends, your family, your husband, children, whoever. So I always ensure that with my husband and with my children, I always ensure that we are talking every single day of every day. I mean, whether I am traveling, he's traveling, my kids are traveling, we have to spare out some time to talk to each other. Could be anything. And similarly with my parents. They are aging, and I know they need me the most at this point, more than probably anyone else in the world. So, yes, communication and a bit of exercising, relaxing your mind, and then, of course, the daily chores. That's a non negotiable thing in my life every single day.
Thank you.
Interesting. Okay. So for me, how it was that I had very limited resources. So I came from a well-off family, but my brain worked as if I had limited resources. So मैं कॉलेज स्कूल में I studied in St. Thomas in Delhi. मुझे याद है मैं 2 रुपए की कोका कोला नहीं पीती थी. क्यों नहीं पीती थी? मैंने जिंदगी में क्या किया है? What have I done to deserve this? Right? And I think somewhere that whole creation of not having sufficient was something that I always kept for me, and that's what probably kept me striving always. And for me it was always because when your resources are limited, आप बहुत बड़े plans नहीं बनाते हो, and you can't bank on others, right? You're banking on yourself. So what you have is your everyday, right? So your everyday needs to be meaningful and purposeful. जो आपने सोचा है वो आप अचीव कर लो बस. That was my way of where I moved from 2 rooms to what you said at a global level. Today also that's my mindset कि हर रोज का दिन अचीव हो गया तो कल का है. So that's how what happens is that you start evolving, and then you can create 3 years, then you can create 5 years, or you can create 3 months, your goals and whatever. So for me, my daily thing is more important to me. So for like she said, for her journaling, and for me sports is important. I want to play, so I play golf. I try and make sure that I do that, and there's some kind of activity that I'm doing because my body demands that, because I was an athlete when I was in school. So that's one thing. दूसरी चीज है, I believe meditation is something that's very, very important. Mindfulness. So we practice Anapan. It's been almost 15 years every day. Vipassana का जो meditation होता है in the campus. That's how we start the day. So I've done 6 times. So I feel that I'm blessed that मुझे जिंदगी में विपश्यना मिली, क्योंकि मेरे लिए कभी भी कोई प्रॉब्लम हो ना, बस 5 मिनट में दूर हो जाती है. गुरुजी ने क्या बोला? रिएक्ट नहीं करना है, खत्म कहानी, ओवर एंड चैप्टर क्लोज. So the moment you're reacting, you've seen yourself that you are at fault. So वहीं the cord is cut. So ये तो छोटी छोटी चीजें हैं ना. These are things that help you, and that's what makes me my design of the day. My design.